Thanks for joining us once again for your weekly update from the City of New Hope. Time to talk once again with the Mayor, Kathi Hemken. Mayor, how are you today?
Hi, Dave. I'm happy that January is going away.
Yes, we have some spring things to talk about, but believe it or not, we have a little golf to talk about that took place in New Hope. So that will come in just a second. Let's first begin by talking a little bit about organics recycling. We wanted to give residents a little update on that process and also recycling in general. What are you seeing, hearing in New Hope?
Well, the organics recycling, we were told that January of 2022, we had to have either the city or our haulers remove or have organic recycling offered. Well, the city doesn't do any garbage pickup at all. So we told our haulers, two of our haulers, Aspen and Waste Management, put the cost of the recycling on people's bills and told them there was no opt out. So the opting out of that, if they don't want to do organic recycling or don't want to pay for it, they need to find one of the other 5 recyclers to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just warning people though, be sure you don't have a contract with your recycler because you'll end up paying for that recycling through the contract before you can go to the other one.
Okay.
So just be careful about doing that. The other 5 recyclers, they're going with the blue bag. You have to call and opt in and say you want to do organic recycling. They'll put that on your bill, and then you'll buy the blue bags to put the organics in. And with that will come instructions on where to put the blue bag and how it'll get picked up and all that other kind of stuff. So it's just kind of a confusing time. But if you don't want the recycling, the organics recycling, you need to do something.
Okay.
Whether you want it or not, you need to do something, whether call and get out of it or get some bags or whatever, but it's going to cost you a little bit of money. It's not much. I think it's $3.45 plus the bags.
Okay. But in general, as far as recycling goes, just a note to residents as well that the haulers are doing the best they can, but that recycling truck may come a little bit later than normal. Is that right in what you're seeing?
Well, it might come later in the day, or it might not come till the next day or the day after. They're trying to get that garbage picked up first. And what's happening to the haulers is what's happening to everybody. They're short people. People are out sick. They've been quarantined. So they're trying to get to all the recycling and all the garbage, but they'll do the garbage first. And you might have to wait just a day or two to get that recycling picked up.
Very good. City's website at the bottom of the screen, newhopemn.gov, if you need more information about recycling in the city. Let's talk community development. A lot happening here. First, an update on Windsor Ridge. What is the latest there?
Well, we sold the 32nd house. And so they sold for an average of $430,000. This adds $13.76 million to the New Hope tax base. That's really exciting news.
Let's move to some other projects around the city. 58th and Boone. What is happening there with that household?
Right on the corner of Bass Lake Road and Boone, there was a house, and the owners had moved out, but somebody had moved in. And in the meantime, they had shut off the water and shut off the power, and they were using a stove to heat the house and a hairdryer, and somehow they had some power. They were using a little portable heater. Well, we finally got that person out of the house, and the police department, community development, and public works went over, and they boarded up the house so that nobody could get in. The city is in the process of buying that house. And so we'll have to go to foreclosure first, and then when it does, we'll be able to buy that and tear that down.
Let's go to scattered site housing. A few projects to update you on here. The first is 42nd and Boone, a property people might know as the Tree House. Tell us about the process happening there.
Well, upper management of the Tree House decided that the New Hope and the Plymouth tree houses were serving the same kids. And so rather than double up on the same kids, they decided to move it to Plymouth. They're at beautiful Savior Church at 5005 Northwest Boulevard. And the kids love it, by the way, because there's a gymnasium for them to play with. But the house on Boone, he really hasn't been very adequate for those kids. There was no real place to do sports there. So they're going to abandon that house, and the city is looking at buying that. The house is actually sitting on 0.06 acres or 0.6 acres. So we can make it into 2 lots and sell those lots to developers to put up 2 new houses. So that's all going to take time. But in the meantime, you'll see that Treehouse is going to close, and the vans will move, and something will happen with those lots in that house.
Very good. We'll keep residents up to date. Now let's move to 52nd and Pennsylvania, another property to talk about, one that may come with a few restrictions. Explain that process for us.
Well, that house on Pennsylvania is a HUD house, and it needs to be either torn down or refabbed. So what happens with HUD houses is they offer the house to government facilities, nonprofits, and owners, the owner of the house. And if none of those buy it, then it gets offered to the public. Where the restrictions come is when they offer that first offering to the government entity, we would normally buy it at that time, but since we want to tear that down and put a new house there, that's restricted under HUD. So we cannot buy it under that government when it's just offered to the government. So what's going to happen then is they'll offer it to the general public to buy, and we probably won't be able to get it at the price that we're willing to pay to tear it down. And the house really needs to come down. But if somebody buys it and fixes it up, well, more power to them, I guess. So we'll have to watch what happens with that one.
We will do that. 53rd in Rhode Island, an update on that house there. And I understand there might be some training exercises that go on there. So you wanted to make residents aware of what might be happening.
Well, that's another one of those houses that the scattered site group is buying, and that's going to be torn down. What they first have to do is make sure there aren't any hazardous materials, and they do a tree inventory. When those 2 things are done, then they'll go out for bids to the demolisher, the people that are going to demolish the house. But before that happens, we'll probably let the West Metro Fire and Rescue and the police department go into the house and do some training. They want to make sure that the house is safe though before they do that, so that the floors are safe. There's not going to be any harm done to them. So if you happen to see a bunch of police at the house, that's what's happening. If you happen to see a little fire coming out of the house, again, that's what's happening. But you can always, if you don't know and you're kind of worried about that, you can always call the city to check. But that's what's going to happen to that house. Then we'll put a brand new house there.
Very good. Good to know. And there's always a lot in this area going on in the city. We want to leave you with the website as well for more information, newhopemn.gov/housing. Mayor, what can we find there?
Well, you can find all of the scattered site houses that are completed and the ones that are in process. And there might be a list of the ones that we're potentially looking at. I'm not sure about that. But you can also see what we paid for the lot, what we got for the lot, what it cost us to tear the house down. People should remember that we're not buying these to make money. We're actually buying them so that we're cleaning up the neighborhoods, so that these houses that are in misrepair would be a nice word, that aren't there. The neighbors don't want that house there. And so that's why we're doing this. So in each house, we actually do a spreadsheet, and the extra money that we get from taxes from the sale of that house versus the taxes we were getting from the old house, that's the number they use to tell people how long it's going to be before we recoup all the money that we spent on the house. So it's not a free project.
Right.
But it's really for the betterment of the community as opposed to just making money.
Very good. A lot of valuable information at that website. Also information on the website about this next topic, a few dates for your calendar with the Business Networking Group. And the first one, you are part of that fine presentation. Tell us about the first date coming up.
On the 2nd of February at 8:30 in the morning is the State of the City address. And typically Kirk McDonald, the city manager, and I do this presentation, and we try to cover the whole year and all the exciting things that have happened in this year. You can go and watch it virtually. There's a website for that. Or you can come into City Hall. There's an advantage to coming to City Hall to watch the presentation. We have donuts and coffee.
I hear that. I tasted them before. They are very good.
They are very good. So you can come in and watch that. We ask that you'll have to be quiet while it's going on, of course, just because it's not noisy. And this is part of the Business Networking Group, so they will be there too. And that Business Networking Group is then going to meet on the 2nd of March also. That'll be at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at Pocket Square. And of course, all business and all people are welcome to come to that. After the meeting, they do a little walkthrough, so we'll see where they're distilling this gin and vodka. I don't know if there'll be any tasting going on, but I imagine you could procure some tasting. I don't know.
All right, city's website to find out more about those business networking group dates. Let's go to the police department, a few updates there. The first is about some special training going on. I understand they're dividing the department in half as they go through this. What is that training they're involved in now?
Well, we're doing some use of force training. We want to make sure that the officers are upgraded and get this training every year. So half of the force has done it already. They did it last week. The other half will do it in early February. And we do that just because we can't have all of our police officers gone at the same time for this training class. So we kind of split them up so we can get them all done. But it's just an important thing for the officers to do.
And the police also involved on a regular basis in meeting with members of the community. And a meeting that has happened is with the principal at Cooper High School. Tell us about this meeting.
Well, our two captains and our police chief met with the principal at Cooper for emergency planning. So it's emergency preparedness plan.
Okay.
And then after they go over that, the next meeting it'll be with the school resource officers. But they really want to be well prepared in case there's an emergency of any sort. Everybody needs to know where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. So that should be a real interesting meeting.
Let's head over to Public Works. Speaking of being prepared, they're always prepared for more snow. Hopefully not more snow for a little while here. But again, when it does snow, Mayor, just a few points and reminders for residents.
First of all, give the snowplows a little room. When I saw that thing on the news where a truck ran into the back of a snowplow, it's like, oh my gosh, they're big. It's hard to miss those. So give the snowplow some room. They're out there trying to do their best. And the piles that the snowplow puts at the ends of the driveways, do not play in that snow because you don't really know what's in it. And don't let the kids go sliding down those piles into the street because that's not safe either. I just want to remind people that if you have a sidewalk in front of your house, it's your responsibility to shovel that sidewalk within 24 hours. If you're in an apartment, it's actually the responsibility of the owner of the property or the management of the apartment to get that shovel. We will shovel that or plow it, I guess you'd call it, after we've plowed all the other snow in the streets. So that always comes first. And I know people need to be walking. So it's important that you get that snow off your sidewalk and don't wait for the city to come and do it, because if we happen to have two snowfalls close together, they're not going to get to it. And you're not going to be able to walk on the sidewalk. So it's an ordinance and they have to plow that.
Very good. Good reminders there. Let's move ahead to Park and Rec. A number of things to talk about here. Some warm weather things in a moment. First, we start with something that's inside for those that might be a little bit older. The Donut Make You Wonder talk, and a very neat topic coming up. Tell us about that.
So this is really, it's called Donut Make You Wonder, but donut is spelled like a donut.
Yeah.
And so for $3, you get a donut and a cup of coffee. This seems like a big donut family. So on the it's the third Tuesday of the month. So in February, it'll be on the 15th from 10 o'clock till 11:30. It's at the Crystal Community Center. And this month's topic will be African-American migration to Minnesota. When that happened, why that happened, the results of that happening. And so it should be a really interesting hour and a half. And it's just fun to meet with all these people. And it's at Crystal Community Center.
Very
It's
good.
a fun place to be.
All right. City's website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more information about signing up for that and getting involved. Also, this next part, let's look ahead to spring and some warm weather. The first thing to talk about is dance classes. Already thinking ahead?
Well, the dance classes are starting, but the spring dance recital, they're starting to they're making plans for that. So spring can't be too far behind if they're making those kind of plans already.
I agree.
We also have a park called Hidden Valley, and they're starting to plan for the equipment at Hidden Valley. So they sent out a notice to all the neighbors, inviting them to a planning meeting, and that will be sometime in early February. If you want to go to that planning meeting, but don't get a note, you can always call City Hall and ask them when it is, because this stuff is all open to the public. What we do is we have a certain amount of money that we're going to spend on that park, and we ask the neighbors to come in and tell us what they want for equipment. So we have the company that supplies the equipment come and show us what they have and what we can get for that amount of money. And they'll give us 2 or 3 pictures and we pick out what we want. When I say
Nice.
we, the people that are there, I don't get a vote, by the way. And then there's a second meeting in which they'll pick out the colors of the equipment. So it's just a way to get involved with the city. They do that so that they have the right equipment for the age of the kids that are in the neighborhood. And the kids, by the way, are invited.
Very
And
nice.
they get to help pick out the equipment they want. And
What a
we
neat
listen to
process.
those kids.
Sounds like fun. Other events that are coming up that the city's thinking about, again, sure signs of summer and spring as well. Bike rodeo, also Step to It challenge, and also some programs with Three Rivers. Tell us a little bit about those.
Well, you know it's spring on the way because when the Step to It challenge, that's always right around Mother's Day, early spring. They're starting to plan for that. They're starting to plan for the bike rodeo. And Three Rivers Park District came to us. They want to do something called Parks to People. In other words, instead of people coming to the parks, they're thinking of ways to bring the parks out to the cities and to the people. So this is all in their master plan. That's going to take a while for Three Rivers. But in the meantime, it's kind of exciting that our Park and Rec department is planning for spring.
Very good. Good to see. All right. We told you earlier about something happening at the golf course that you might not believe. And here's some pictures to prove it happened, Mayor. And I know you were out there. Tell us a little about this winter golf event.
I was with my long underwear on and mittens and gloves. So there were 47 people that signed up for this. We played 6 holes. They weren't the normal holes. They kind of set them up. They were a little shorter. There was a lot of slipping and sliding going on, a few snow angels being made, and a little bit of golf. And so between you played 3, then you went and made us some more. And they had a fire pit going. And then you ate your some more and played another 3 holes. In some cases, people were playing it twice. It was so much fun. I'm sure it's going to be a yearly event because this was just really a fun event. And when it was all over, nobody went home.
That's nice. Hats off to the organizers and what great fun had. And otherwise, the golf course, the inside part of the course continues to be busy and people reserving that for whatever party they might have.
We're still doing rentals for the clubhouse, the off season. They don't rent the clubhouse during the golf season, but you can rent the back patio. So if you're thinking about a graduation party, now's the time to get that reserved because it's really busy in June.
Good idea.
And it's quite reasonable.
Very good. Let's head over to the ice arena and talk a little bit about activities there. And we've got some pictures as well to show there was a big crowd in the ice arena recently. What was going on?
Well, there were 30 kids there from River Tree School. I'm sorry, 80 kids from River Tree School. And so these kids were just there in the afternoon doing a day of ice skating and having a good time. There was a doubleheader with the high school kids going on. And of course, the youth hockey is practicing there. And I still think they're looking for a Zamboni driver. They haven't found one yet, but if you're looking for a fun little part-time job, that might be a good thing. You can go online and apply.
That does sound fun. And speaking of looking for employees, how about a job out in the sun by a pool? That sounds pretty good, Mayor. You're looking for people already, right?
They are starting to recruit and they're starting to hire. And this is for the aquatic center. And you don't need to know how to swim. They're not just hiring lifeguards. They're hiring people to just like monitor the pool. They're hiring kids for the concession stands. Never know what you're going to get hired for.
Right.
But you don't have to be a lifeguard to apply. It's a fun part-time job that you get to be out in the sun all day.
New Hope's website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more about those opportunities. Zamboni and swimming. What could be better? Let's go to human resources. A few updates there related to staff in the police department. Tell us what's happening there.
Well, we just hired a new community service officer, an additional one, and he started this last week. So that's a good thing. And then my chief, my police chief, my city manager are hiring for a police clerk this week. And so we'll have one of those on board real quick. They're doing a lot of this job posting online. So it's really important. You can register for things online. You can apply for jobs online. Go into the website under jobs and you'll see all kinds of stuff going on.
All right, there's that website again. And something else on the website is the Start 2020 with a Home Energy Squad visit. Mayor, this sounds like a good idea. Give us a few more details.
It is. I did this a few years ago, and they come in and they basically they come in and tell you where the leaks are in your house.
Mm-hmm.
So they put big fans in, and they can tell where air is coming in, and they either give you or put in weather stripping around your doors, around your windows. They have all kinds of products to help you reduce your energy bill, and they just give you those with this energy audit. So call up and or sign up. You can go online, and of course you go to the city's website and look for that. Or you could, I think you can just go online and type in Home Energy Squad,
Okay.
and you'll get a website on how to do that.
All right. We'll get that information for you at the bottom of the screen here as well, so you can type in and get that information. A few other final pieces of information. One we mentioned earlier, just a quick reminder, but one that we haven't mentioned is February 1st. What is special about that day in New Hope and throughout the state of Minnesota?
Well, that's what our political caucuses are. And they're always, both parties, or actually there's three parties now, they're always on the same day, and you pick whether you're going to go to the Democrat, Republican, or I think it's the marijuana party. And you can go online, just type in caucus, Minnesota. They'll tell you, you'll put your address in, they'll tell you where your caucus is. And I believe they all start at 7 o'clock. Some caucuses are just virtual this year, and some are in person, and it'll tell you which yours is, whichever one you decide to go to. And that's really where you start to set the platform for your political party.
Right.
You also, that's where you endorse your candidates that are running locally. So it's really important to do that. So after you've done that on the 1st, on the 2nd, at 8:30 in the morning, you can come to the State of the City address, get your donut and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a fun thing to do. And I think that's about all that's going on in New Hope.
And that State of the City event again at the Government Center at City Hall. So make sure you stop by that morning on the 2nd to check out what the mayor and Kirk McDonald has to say. Mayor, as always, thank you for your time and all the information. Again, we mentioned the website many times, so go to the website, newhopemn.gov, to find out more. Mayor, we'll look to see you again next week and get more great New Hope information.
Thanks, Dave. See you then. Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.